Hello, I'm making this video about the subject of what we nowadays call Pride. And Pride Month, which is basically the entire month of June, at least in quite a lot of our countries it is, yeah. Um, and I just wanted to have a few words about that really. Um, I don't take part in this stuff anymore, and there are a number of reasons for that. It used to be something that was kind of quite fun. It used to be, um, yeah, it felt kind of fun. It did feel sort of freeing at one time. Yep. But things have really changed over the years. Things have certainly changed greatly over the last um, 10 years. I would imagine something like that. 10, 11 years. And now what I see is something which has very little purpose, but which manufactures a purpose for itself. But it does it in a very unhealthy manner. Um, I see something which is very much a badge for corporations to appear relevant and to appear somehow acceptable and to sell to people and to sell what they perceive as a certain audience. Though I have to say, the audience is nothing like as big as they think it is, but they sell to a certain sort of audience. And in a way, it's like corporations talking to the media and the media talking back to corporations. And all of it fomented by um, activists that really speak for nobody but themselves, but claim to speak for us. It's quite unpleasant, to be truthful. And I think, well, look, people have to do what they want to do, but I really would counsel people to step back from this entire thing. We now have an entire month which is meant to be Pride Month, which is basically uh, a month devoted to an ideology of gender and sexuality, which has become so incoherent. And I mean, the very letters and numbers that are used to now summarize uh, this sort of movement. Its acronym is something which somebody quite recently described as sounding like a Wi Fi password, which I think sums it up very well. This whole movement has become so unpleasant, so divisive, so fractious, and it has so little to do with anybody's real life. You actually have to be some sort of an activist, or to have been pretty much brainwashed by activists to actually support it now, I think. Meanwhile, the vast majority of the population are alienated by it because it does not have goodwill towards them. Yeah? And we should be very clear as well. We see now with the advent of the modern so called transgender movement, yeah, and I separate that very much from actual transsexuals, yeah, but like the modern transgender movement, which includes so many things, so many categories, and seems to have also almost been used as an attack upon the very conception of biological sex itself, yeah. And I'm not joking in that. You can find that, yeah. This this thing has become uh, dreadful to people. It's infringed upon all sorts of things in terms of in terms of the well-being of both, well, especially of women, really, yeah, of biological women, actual women, yeah. It's infringed upon their well-being, yeah, and also, most importantly, it has actually gone after the children, yeah. and the effect it is having on children is not good. And we are seeing so many detransitioners now, mainly young women, yeah? It used to always be that the majority of people transitioning were people born male transitioning to live as women. That shifted now, and it shifted in a very short period of time. That should tell you that something is up. And also, we're finding that a lot of these people are now detransitioning. And when they do so, if they actually come out and tell their stories, they are attacked and vilified for it by this so-called movement. It's a cult. That's how a cult behaves. This cult-like ideology has actually very strongly hijacked the entire LGBT movement, whatever you want to call it. It's hijacked it, and we have to be aware of that. And that's why I will not attend Pride events, and I will not support Pride events, because we have some very, very unpleasant things happening, supposedly in our name, and I want to make it quite clear it is not in my name. We've seen so many crazy things, honestly. We've seen sexualized performers put in front of children, yeah, and then we're told that we can't criticize this because they're drag queens. No, that's not how it works, yeah. We have children put on puberty blockers, drugs which in some cases are the same things they use for chemical castration of males. In any case, these things have effects, and the long-term effects have not been properly studied, but there are problems coming out, yeah. And activists lie to people outright, telling them that these things are reversible, they're safe, they have no problem. It's not true. I'm not joking when I say that people have gone after the children. Yeah? We now have a situation where support for gay, lesbian, bisexual, and trans people has gone backwards for the first time in decades. It is actually going backwards. It's not going backwards because of some sort of right-wing conspiracy. It's going backwards because people aren't crazy. It's going backwards because people speaking in our name have acted appallingly and continue to do so, like delusional cultists. That's why attitudes have changed and are going backwards. It's because crazy people have decided to take over the asylum. It's no surprise that the attitudes have gone backwards. Yeah. It's absolutely essential, I think, that any saying gay, lesbian, bisexual, or trans person speaks out against these things and distances themselves from this. And pride, there's nothing to be proud of there. I don't even like this whole idea of Pride Month. Why do we have a whole month anyway? Yeah? And the fact is, if you've done something yourself to be proud of, that's great. You should feel good about it. You don't need a month to turn it into a public performance, especially one where you simply dance around multinational corporations and the media in some sort of hideous collusion. This is dreadful. So Those are my views on Pride, and that's why I won't be taking part in any Pride events. Thank you very much. People need to turn their back on these things, and they need to speak out about it so that people know that this stuff is a cult, it's a media and corporate driven cult as well, or at least supported. It's driven by a certain sort of ideology, a certain sort of postmodern ideology. It's driven by that, but it's very much in collusion with the corporations and the media. These are the people that this is really about. So, and these people aren't the world, yeah? These people aren't the world. They like to pretend that they are, they like to give the impression that they are, but they're not the world. You know who's turning against LGBT people now? Ordinary people. People who are sane. Because they're just kind of revolted by everything that's being shoved down their throats. And it is being shoved down their throats. So please, come to your senses and just take some sort of a stand. Just some small stand, just to say, it's not about me. That's not me. That's not us. It will help. It actually will help, and that will be nice to see. Okay, have a nice summer.